South of East Cherry,
along Yesler Way,
That's where we learned to skate
and bike
and play.
Those carefree days.
Now time has passed us.
And we shouldn't stray.
in Kosher Canyon along Yesler Way.
When the German-speaking Jews came in the 19th century, there weren't enough of them to really create a community that could support kosher food. So they assimilated, and they sort of invented Reformed Judaism. When the Transcontinental Railroad was completed in the late 1880s, that coincided with the time that Eastern European Jews started to come to the Northwest, and it made it much easier to get here and much cheaper. So that almost from the beginning, the Eastern European Jews had enough of a number of people, a big enough number of people to support kosher groceries, kosher butcher shops. Of course, they had to walk to synagogue. So all of the synagogues, the Orthodox synagogues, both Sephardic and Ashkenazi, were in that neighborhood, in the Jewish neighborhood, along with the grocery stores. So they created a Jewish community.
My father's excuse was that he wanted to avoid military conscription, which he was due to get involved in. That was my father, and I would say that a good number of those who came at that time, in order to find a way of living and earning a living, that they would have to leave their homes and come to America. Members of their communities in mainland Turkey, some of them being Greeks and some Armenians, had already come to Seattle, and they wrote back about how lovely of a city it was, bounded by a saltwater body on one side and a lake with fresh water in the other.
My mother said she came from a village and she found a village in Seattle because it was that kind of feeling. It was so convenient. You could buy almost anything you wanted, on Yesler Way. And what was so interesting and wonderful was that they were supportive of each other, and they continued their culture and their cuisine and their religious practice, and they became a neighborhood.
We didn't really spend any time in restaurants, and we ate at home. And our mothers were excellent cooks and bakers.
Well, there weren't refrigerators, they weren't freezers and so on, so people went to the market every other day.
Well, the main thing is that they knew everybody would come in, so you'd come in and you wouldn't just order. You'd ask about your wife, your husband, the health, the children, and that type of thing.
Since these people mostly came from, the other countries in Turkey and Rhodes, they had their own special favorite foods. And some of them were not very readily accessible in this area, but the store owners managed to find out where the source could be. In the 1 mile radius of Kosher Canyon, just about all of the stores at that time, the butchers and the grocers, were Jewish.